Hello, good afternoon, and this is day 17, and our prompt for the day is printing. Just a quick recap. My name is Jolene, and I'm from a Facebook community called Mixed Media and Beyond Community. And for the whole of January, I'm creating a pebble a day on this YouTube channel. Because it's a weekend and because I have a bit more space, and the same as last weekend, I have time to experiment. And I wanted to experiment with different ways of doing monoprinting. So I've got a little bit of plastic that came from a gift card wrapper, and I have the lid of a takeaway box, both which have sort of a waxy, shiny finish, and I was interested to see where I could take them with regard to monoprinting. So just to explain what monoprinting is is traditionally associated nowadays with gel plates, which are a piece of equipment that you can buy and you can do all sorts of wonderful things with them. And there is no way that you can get the same outcome with anything else, really. However, monoprinting in its most basic form means a single layer of paint. So it's taking multiple layers of something and producing a single layer. It's, for instance, used in poster printing, in t-shirt printing, and so I wanted to sort of experiment with different ways I could create marks using different things. So I'm using dry paint and a dry paintbrush to just paint wispy layers, first of all on this thin piece of plastic, and then later on you're going to see me doing it on the lid of the takeaway box. And I just dry brush some marks on there and then lay over a pre-cut stencil. And the little hole, by the way, is to represent wish stones, which are pebbles that you find with a hole in them. So anyway, I just lay my stencil over and my little circle, and then I attempt to pull a print. Now, here's the disclaimer. My final pull, which I decided to do straight into my art journal, I'm going to talk about why in a minute, didn't come out quite the same way as when I did it on a plain piece of paper, and I think there's a really good reason why. I noticed when I re-watched this is that when I took a print from this particular carton, the lid, I used a wooden spoon, and you're going to see me doing that on all of them, to rub down the back of the print as well as turning it over and rubbing down the front. And you'll notice when I go straight into my book, I don't rub the back down. Whether that made a difference or not, I don't know. I still quite like the outcome in the end. It was not what I'd hoped for originally, but then just a few little things that I did at the end meant that I ended up with something I was quite happy with. So why am I printing straight into my book? Why am I not just cutting it out from a piece of paper? Firstly, it would defeat the object of doing a monoprint. I might as well just paint onto paper and then cut it out. But secondly, I notice that the more I'm sticking things into my little journal, the thicker and thicker it's getting. So I'm trying every now and then to work straight into my journal. Anyhow, so here's where I attempt to pull my final print, which is that I'm going to use in my book. So I'm just wiping down this lid of this container. And by the way, when you use the lid of a container, you've got like well, certainly the ones we get over here, you have a really shiny side to it, which is the side that touches the food, and then you have a matte side, which is the lid. So I'm using the shiny surface. So I put down my paints, dry brush on the top, and dry brush literally means exactly that. It's a brush that hasn't had any water on it at all, and you're using a very, very fine bit of paint. You're not going to get, as I said before, you're not going to get those beautiful layers that you can get onto a gel plate. Those of you who've used them, you know that you can dry one layer of paint before you apply the next. I did give that a go on this. It doesn't work at all, and it wasn't worth the recording, to be quite honest. But so put down some paint, just dry printing, and then I put my stencil on, and then what I've got to do is try and fit my journal onto the stencil the way that I need it to look, and pull a print. And you're going to see what I edited a little bit because I didn't include the disappointment pause as I lifted the first print. And of course, we all hit that. And I think it's important for me to showcase that sometimes things don't go exactly the way I want them to go. So you see there, that's the mistake I made. I don't think that I did any rub down on the back of this print. I only turned it over and rubbed the front. So I don't know. Maybe when you give it a go, you'll be able to come up with something, or maybe you'll use printing in a totally different way. So here's the print. It looked a bit meh. It had got some white spaces on it. It was floating. It didn't really have any edge to it. So I've used a Stabilo awl. You could use a charcoal just to go around the outside of the colour. I then used a wet paint brush just to blend that dark colour in. And then finally, because it just needed one more extra thing to bring it all together, I took a piece of corrugated cardboard, painted it with the sandy yellow that I've got, and just on one little edge, just printed that corrugated cardboard to create a line effect. And then it's all done. So that was today's experiment. I'm interested to see where you go with printing. Maybe you'll use stamps. Maybe you'll give this a go. Maybe you'll find another way to do mono printing that I haven't thought of. Either way, head on over to the Facebook group and let us all know. I'll see you tomorrow.